The US Supreme Court have refused to block a new law in Texas that bans abortions for most women. The so-called Heartbeat Act bans terminations after the detection of what anti-abortion campaigners call a fetal heartbeat, a point when many women do not know that they are pregnant. The law gives any individual the right to sue doctors who perform an abortion past the 6-week point. Rights groups had asked the court to block the law, but in a late-night vote, the Supreme Court justices ruled 5-4 against granting this. It effectively bans abortions of babies older than 6 weeks. To debate this, I'm delighted to welcome Andrea Williams, Chief Executive of Christian Concern, and Hilary Freeman, journalist, agony aunt and novelist. Hilary, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What's your reaction to this court verdict?
I'm absolutely horrified. I mean, to me, it is like Gilead. It's the Handmaid's Tale. It's the start of women's rights being oppressed, rolled back, all our rights going. I can't really see that much difference between what's happened in Texas and what's going on in Afghanistan. It's just a different method, really.
And why do you make that parallel? I mean, what is the concern? Because, you know, many are thinking about the unborn child, of course.
Well, a 6-week-old fetus, embryo, in fact, is not a child. A heartbeat doesn't make something human. And a 6-week-old embryo is not viable. Many pregnancies are lost naturally at that stage. It's not... I don't understand where that time has been picked from. You know, a heartbeat doesn't mean anything. And most women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. 6 weeks isn't from... It's 6 weeks, not from conception, it's 6 weeks from your last period. So if you don't know when your period is, you may not even know that you've missed your period until that stage. So it's basically banning abortion completely for everything. And the other thing is there is absolutely no exemption in this ruling, as far as I'm aware, for things like rape and incest, which is just horrifying, that somebody can be raped and then forced to give birth to a child, to a baby.
A very, very troubling thought. Notwithstanding the issue of rape and incest, what are the other real-world implications for women if the law changes?
Well, basically, we'll go back to a situation where women will be forced to have Backstreet abortions, because banning abortion doesn't stop women having abortions. It doesn't actually cut down on abortions. It actually makes them just unsafe, and lots of women will die. And with this law particularly, which seems to be unbelievably awful in the sense that it's getting people to inform on each other as well. So it's creating, you know, it really is creating a sort of society that is a horrible place for women to live, and that just tries to control their fertility and everything about, you know, they won't be able to work. You know, it's going to create poverty, and a whole generation of children who are, you know, unwanted. It's terrible. I can't think of any good thing about it.
Where might you draw the line? I mean, what is a reasonable term at which to say at that point you don't abort?
Well, actually, my view is that abortion should be legal from up till term, because then you're not controlling women's bodies. I think last year, in the 2018 statistics, there were only something like 289 late terminations after 24 weeks. So women don't do it. It's only done in absolutely extreme circumstances. So I think actually it should become a medical issue. It shouldn't be about the law. It should be about health.
But what's the difference between an unborn baby that's perhaps, you know, 8 or 9 pounds in weight outside of the mother's body versus inside the mother's body, if we talk about a term pregnancy?
Because when it's inside the mother's body, the mother is keeping it alive. The mother is feeding it. The mother is giving it all the nutrients. She's carrying it around. It's like a parasite, really, when you're pregnant. When it's outside you know, even when a baby's born, a baby may be born at full term, but it's not actually going to be able to survive unless it's looked after, is it? So, you know, what does viability really mean?
Andrea, your reaction?
Well, no, a newborn baby can't survive unless that newborn baby is looked after. So we need to then say, why aren't we looking after the babies that are inside our wombs? Why are we pitting the mother against our precious, vulnerable, unborn children? A truly civilised society will look after women in unplanned pregnancies, but will also really care for their unborn children, help the women help the women to bring the child to term, and hopefully then help the woman to look after the child if they want to have the child.
I mean, the word help there sounds mildly coercive. Is this coded language
No,
for
well,
you will
know,
have that baby?
Well, no, the thing very often that the woman lives with a choice of actually snuffing out the heartbeat of their children. And many women live with that for many years. And many women would love to reverse that. And we've seen a huge amount of stories in the past year where in this country we've taken, in effect, by way of DIY abortion, pills by post abortion in this country, really liberal law. You phone up an abortion provider, they send a pill through the post. Now that's gone from a sort of a Backstreet idea to a back room, to a bedroom idea, women alone. And those that are coming, they're presenting at A&E with catastrophic consequences.
I've not heard any of it.
Well, the stats are really high. We're going to see 200,000 women have had abortions alone in these circumstances since this came in through COVID. And we know that about 17% of them are presenting in some way in A&E hospitals. And we've been dealing with them in my office.
Well, is the mechanism by which the abortion...
It's not kind, yeah.
I mean, I hear you, Andrea, but is the mechanism by which the abortion happens a red herring? I mean, the big question here is whether or not you end the life of an unborn child.
That's it. We are ending the life of an unborn child. Wouldn't it be amazing to imagine a world where that was unthinkable, where we thought that this precious little person, because we were all there once, we all had a detectable heartbeat at 6 weeks, 2 weeks post a period. We were all there once, you and me. And we are therefore valuable. And a civilised society, a wealthy society, will be able to solve this. And not to say that the solution is in the snuffing out of the heartbeat. And let's remember in Texas, they're not some wild, wacky state. This has happened in... They're really not.
So, but they really are. They just said that you can carry a gun around and shoot anyone you like. So much for life.
8 other states have already passed this act, and it's been and before it became then there were legal challenges to it.
Would you accept a compromise to the timeline and let women decide, let's say, up to 3 months?
Well, the big question is, what is our common humanity? What does it mean to be a human being? What does it mean? When are we human beings? Does it mean to be truly compassionate, to truly care? And to actually pit a woman against her child, to say that this is somehow a solution, to say that this is somehow kind. This is not, but this is not.
So, but how can it be kind to force a woman who doesn't have the means or the desire to force her to go through pregnancy, which has all kinds of health implications for a woman, which can be very dangerous, to make her give birth, which can be very traumatic? How can that be a compassionate society? And then to force her into poverty and have to have a child who's unwanted.
Do you trust the judgment and the empathy of the mother who's carrying this child to make the judgment that if I bring this child into the world, this child will not have a great outcome? Because that's why an abortion will happen. I've never met any female that had an abortion just for the sake of it. It's normally done with a heavy heart. It's done for a reason. And the reason is the interests of the child.
Because well, you know, it's interesting because in Northern Ireland, where only recently abortion has been legalised, there are 100,000 people alive today because abortion remained illegal, and they choose life, and their mums are pleased that they gave birth to them. And I think, and I think that very often a woman in an unplanned pregnancy, what she needs at that point is someone to say, the solution is not to snuff out the heartbeat. Let's have a chat about this.
But also,
because
you painted the utopian idea that the state will help, there will be support. But the bottom line is that's an aspiration, but that's not there at the moment, is it?
But we can help.
It's never been there. It's never been there.
We can do life differently. A society like ours, we can do life differently. We can care. We should be caring for those. We should be caring for the people around us, and we together.
Are we talking about building more orphanages, perhaps?
Well, exactly. Look what happened to all the babies that were born in Ireland that were shoved into those orphanages. They were abused. You know, unwanted children do not have good lives. Why create unwanted children?
Children want to live.
No, they don't. They don't know. An unborn child doesn't have a brain when they've got a heartbeat. There's no.
Although you could encounter somebody that perhaps was a candidate for abortion who's now in the world.
Of
And
course.
maybe they've gone on to have enriched lives.
Of course.
It would be a tough conversation
Justin
to have
Bieber,
with
Justin
them.
Bieber, for instance,
That, you know, if
Sure.
if things have panned out differently, you know, you wouldn't be here. I'm sure they'd want to be here.
Well, we're all an accident of birth, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, I had miscarriages. You know, those babies spontaneously aborted because for some reason my body rejected them. Maybe there was something wrong. I don't know. But the point is that, you know, it's when we're born that matters. Before we're born, we are not human. We are not
human.
people.
We are
not
human, and
we're
there are-
potential.
If you look at a scan of an unborn baby,
we're not-
it looks pretty human to me.
No,
Yeah,
we,
I mean,
They're
you are,
human,
if
but
we're
then-
honest about it, you are killing a child, aren't you? It's just a
No,
child
you're killing
that's
a
in
potential
utero.
child.
You're killing a human being with potential. You're killing a human being with vast potential. You're killing, you know, you're killing, just think about it, 200,000 missing citizens, missing people like you and me. And not here, just through this pandemic, through pills by post-abortion. What an extraordinary number, 9.5 million missing citizens.
But those are
people like you and me. Just
those are people who
because of the
who would not have
circumstances of
had happy lives, who'd have been brought up
How do we
by
know?
parents who were able to care
How
for
do
them,
we
who
know
wanted
that?
to care.
How do we know
Because
that?
we know what happens when people are forced to have abortions, because we've had a history of it until the 1960s. We've had hundreds of years of it, where women were forced to have Backstreet abortions, where children were born
perhaps, I mean,
who weren't wanted.
Hilary, you might argue that the buck stops with the mother. The mother is the
yes.
one that's conceived, and she chooses whether to have the baby or not.
Yes.
Not the state.
Yes.
And not
well, I'm not
politicians.
saying the state because I'm
But
not.
that's what
Well, it
this,
is-
the
it is a
abortion
legal
law
issue,
is.
isn't it?
Yes.
The point about here, we're talking with. It doesn't just stop with the mother. There's a father involved. There's actually and there's a child involved, and people need to advocate on behalf of the life that is there, the unborn child that is there. You've said, Mark, yourself, that this is the killing of an unborn child.
What about if somebody has been raped?
And that is not a, and that is not, and that is not a
Andrea.
civilised, and that's not we wouldn't it be just amazing to think we've been conditioned to thinking that this is somehow a kind solution, whereas let me just say in this past year as well, we've been representing a doctor who has been involved in reversing pills by post-abortions, where today we could bring women to the studio who've had their babies. They took a choice to take a pill, then they asked for a reversal pill. They chose life, and they're so thrilled that their babies are born.
Can we briefly, we are up against it, and I'll definitely give you a chance to reply, but what about the situation in which somebody has been raped or is a victim of incest? I mean, surely it's a double crime to make them have that baby.
Well, absolutely. The perpetrator of the rape, he should be punished, absolutely, with the full force of the law. But should an unborn child be punished for the sins of the father? I
think sins of the father is a little, you know.
Well, you said rape.
Forgiving.
Yeah, so
If you-
the
I mean,
woman,
worse than-
so
I think
a
it's
woman
worse
who's
than
been
sins of the
violated.
father.
If we're talking about, I've said quite clearly, a rapist should be punished with the full force of the law.
That
If the child should then-
hardly ever happens, and the mother should not be forced to
and
carry
we've
a
also got to bear in
baby.
mind, we've also got to bear in mind that 98.8% of abortions are in cases where mums are electing to do that, not in this sort of scenario.
I would love you to make your final thoughts on this, Hilary.
Well, I'm just, I just think that this is about women being controlled. That's what it's about. It's about women losing control of their
Being
bodies.
given real choice. It's about
being
women being
forced
given
to
real
have
choice.
babies, being forced
Being
to be
able to
pregnant,
get
being
different-
forced to
Hilary,
give birth. And that, it cannot be good in any place, because that just takes us back to the Middle Ages. And we've moved forward from that. We've progressed, and we should not be going backwards.
A really heated and impassioned debate, strong points made on both sides. Thanks to my guests who spoke very eloquently, Andrea Williams, who is Chief Executive of Christian Concern, and Hilary Freeman, journalist, also a relationship expert and novelist. Thank you to you both. What's your view on this one? gbviews@gbnews.uk. I'd like to say that if you need help or advice on any of the issues that we've discussed in this segment, you can head to the NHS website, nhs.uk/conditions/abortion. That's nhs.uk/conditions/abortion, and it's an excellent resource. So there you go. Pretty challenging conversation.